Class 12 students, good morning. Already we started our revision for the PT1 portion. Which lesson we have for the PT1? Government budget. Okay. See, today we are going to revise the second part of the government budget. It is nothing but the components. Components of government budget. It's a very big topic for study well. See, the government budget, it is divided into two heads. One part it says about the receipts. What is the meaning of the receipt? Revenue or income. So, first division is budget receipts. Second part is budget expenditure. All their expenses of the government. So, budget receipts and budget expenditure. One side the government is receiving the income. Other side they are spending for the welfare of a country. Is it clear? So, the budget receipts, it is divided into two heads. It is classified into two heads. One is revenue receipts. Second is capital receipts. In the same way, the budget expenditure, it is divided into revenue expenditure and the capital expenditure. See, budget receipts, budget income, budget revenue is classified into revenue receipts RR and capital receipts CR. Okay. In the same way, budget expenditure is divided or classified into revenue expenditure and capital expenditure. Is it clear? Okay. Come to the next part of the next classification of the revenue receipts. So, what is first of all, we must know the nature of the revenue receipts. The nature of the revenue receipts. It won't create any liability. At the same time, it won't reduce assets. Very important one. This is the nature of the revenue receipt. It won't create any liability. At the same time, it won't reduce assets. What is the meaning of it? If you borrow the fund from someone else, you have the responsibility or liability to return. So, liability is there. At the same time, you cannot pay back your principal amount or the loan amount. You have to sell your property and settle that as a debt. So, in this place, when you are selling your property, asset value will be reduced. So, in the case of revenue receipt, it won't create any liability, no responsibility to return. At the same time, it won't reduce the asset value. But in the case of capital receipts, it creates which are no liability. At the same time, reduces assets. Okay, that is Volta. In this revenue receipt, it won't create any liability. It never reduces the assets. But in the case of capital receipts, it creates liability. At the same time, it reduces assets. Okay. Come to the other classification of the revenue receipt. It is divided into tax revenue and the non-tax revenue. Tax revenue and non-tax revenue. Tax is a compulsory payment by the each and every citizen of a country under law. Is it clear? That is called as a tax revenue. The tax revenue alone, it is divided into direct tax and indirect tax. The tax revenue is divided into direct tax and the indirect tax. Okay. So, what type of that is under the, how can we say the direct tax? How can we say the direct tax. How can we explain the direct tax? So the direct tax, we can't shift the burden to anyone else. We cannot shift the burden to anyone else. But in the case of indirect taxes, we can shift the burden. It's there. I'll explain. So direct tax cannot shift the burden. See, if you get that's a profit from your business, from your profit you have to pay the corporate tax. In this place we cannot shift the burden to anybody else. If you receive the income, you have to pay the income tax. If you have the property owner, you have to pay the property tax. You are the wealth owner, you have to pay the wealth tax. So, cannot shift the burden to anybody else, it comes under the direct tax. But in the case of indirect taxes, we can shift the burden in what way? For an example, before the GST, that is came to in our country, see, so many types of taxes we had. So, which are the taxes? That is VAT we had, sales tax we had, excise duties we had. Excise duty that was paid by those time by the manufacturers. Then he will add this tax in the price rate. Then the wholesaler he has to pay. From the wholesaler he will add other taxes, the mediate taxes, sales tax and other taxes, VAT and all. That is everything will be add up in the price rate. Finally, the consumers they were all targeted. Is it clear? In the same way, so can be shifted. That is, one person has to pay, but it will be added in the which on a price rate. At the same time, they are all targeting other people, especially the consumers. So it is called as the indirect taxes. Example for the direct taxes: income tax, corporate tax, then the wealth tax, then which are then estate duty and all these type of indirect taxes. Now it is called as a GST. So GST it's an indirect tax. It's an example for the indirect taxes. Okay. See, non-tax other than the taxes. So the government will receive some sort of the income, but it won't create any liability. It won't reduce asset. Which are the things are coming under? Interest payments. So once they lend the money, they are all eligible to get the interest. So interest receipts, they are all receiving the interest. So there are no need to return it back. Second one is the dividends. Dividends and the profits of the public sector undertakings. Then external grants. Then fees, fines and penalties. These type of things are coming under the non-tax revenue. In this case, so the government no need to return it. So now no liability. At the same time, it won't reduce the asset value. Is it clear? See, revenue receipt, it is divided into tax revenue, non-tax revenue, tax revenue divided into direct taxes as well as the indirect taxes. Is it clear? Come to the capital receipts. So what is the nature of it? It creates liability. At the same time, it reduces assets. What type of things are coming under? See, borrowings. Once you get the loan, that is, in future, you are responsible to pay it. So, liability is there. At the same time, disinvestment. What is called as the disinvestment? See, selling the shares of the public sector undertakings to the private. Selling the shares of public sector undertakings to the private sector. See, to the private or the public. This is called as a disinvestment. So, in this place, that is, reduction of the assets will be there. Borrowings, liabilities. So, these two categories are coming under the budget assets. Okay, come to the budget expenditure. So, in this thing, in the revenue expenditure, it won't create any assets. At the same time, it never reduces the liability. Okay, see what is the nature? It won't create any asset, it won't reduce us, that's a liability. It's a routine one. And it is divided into two heads. One is the plan expenditure as well as the non-plan expenditure. Plan expenditure, if the government spending their money for the 5-year plans. Okay, they won't get it back, but they have to do. Even every year, the budget expenditure is there. To framing of the budget, they are spending hell a lot of money. In order to make any, that's a plan, 5-year plans, 2-year plans, yearly plans, they have to spend. So these are all on the basis of the any productive motive, they are all spending for it. This is coming under the plan expenditure. But in the case of non-plan expenditure, no plan. These are all the routine one. These are all the routine expenses, continuous expenses. So what type of things are coming under non-productive areas? This will be covered. What type of non-productive areas? Salary to the government employee. This is a routine one. Second one is if the government gives the subsidies, routine, the government won't receive anything else. So it won't reduce the liability, at the same time it won't create any assets. Next, main thing is the defense expenditure. Every year they have to spend it. If they are not spending, definitely we cannot protect our country. So it's a very important thing, defense expenditure. So these are all coming under the non-plan expenditure. See, revenue expenditure is divided into two heads, plan expenditure as well as the non-plan expenditure. It won't create any assets, at the same time it won't reduce the liability. But in the case of capital expenditure, it creates assets and reduces liability. What type of things are coming under? Creates assets. That is, if the government buys land, buildings, that time it's an expense. In future, they are going to get some sort of the property. Then the construction of dams and all. These type of the things are coming under the capital expenditure. Capital expenditure creates asset, reduces liability. These are all the things are coming under. Student, it's a very important question. So many questions are coming from that for the board examination. Okay, study well. Thank you.